right, ladies and gentlemen, subtracting integers. This is not going to take us very long, so the quicker we get through it, you can work on your homework, okay? So let's get through it. Sound good? Subtracting integers. This is something you did last year. Should not be new to you, but in the slightest, it's not new to you. But can we quickly go through these together as a group? Okay, now we're not going to yell the answers out. We're going to raise our hand nicely, and we're going to answer the question, okay? So 9 plus negative 10. Gabe. Good. 23 plus negative 5. Ashton? Is that right? Okay, 18. I was thinking 17 for some reason. Negative 13 plus 13? Yep. 0. 2 plus negative 8. Somebody I haven't heard from yet today. Chance. Good. 19 plus 12. I think this was on yesterday's, believe it or not. Yep. 31. Negative 20 plus negative 34. Gabe. Negative 54. Good. Okay, so I'm going to skip tiles, and I'm going to go directly to the rule. Okay? So here's the rule. You ready? Subtracting a number is the same as adding the opposite. In other words, keep, change, change. Okay, we talked about KCC last year. This means keep the first, and these two mean change the next two signs. KCC. Question? No, we're just going to let people write, and then we'll talk. Keep the first, change the next two signs. I'll show you in a second. I'll show you in a second. I'll show you in a second. Okay. So let's talk about this first one. So I like to box my first one. If you remember that from last year, that's maybe I didn't teach you this last year. I didn't teach you this last year, did I? Okay. So how I do it is I always put a box around the first one because that tells me I'm going to keep that first one. That's my K. Okay. And I had 7th graders actually write it underneath. If you actually want to write it underneath, do it. Then I'm going to change the next sign. And I'm going to change the next sign. If I change the middle sign, I have to change the second sign. When I'm done, I tend to rewrite the problem so I can see it out a little better than what it looks like. Now I can solve it. Every single problem you have today is going to be turned into an addition problem. Okay? Every single one is going to be turned into an addition problem. Yeah. Question. So the answer to this one would be negative 2. So if you could do our bell ringer today, you'll be able to do our subtraction stuff. Now you might wonder why I have this one up here, 3 minus 2. Well, guess what? No matter what, any single subtraction problem can be changed to an addition problem. It can be. So let's say I have 3 minus 2. I can keep this one, change this one, change the second one, and I'm still going to get the same answer. Okay? I'm still going to get the same answer. You don't have to do that. If it's one that you know, then that's fine. But I think I need you to write this down because this was confusing last year for some of us. Because some of them people always said, when do I use KCC? When do I use it? Okay, this is when you use it. First of all, subtraction in the problem. There's subtraction in the problem. This is when you use KCC. There's subtraction second, when you have a negative in the problem. If you have both of these things, you need to use KCC. If you have both of them together, you use KCC. Okay? Tell me about it. Okay, so for the third thing, so sometimes there's another way to use KCC, and that's when your first number in the problem is smaller. Got one of that. Is smaller than the second. And this is an example. If I have 47 minus 63, I can use KCC then also. Okay, so the first two things, you have to have one to use it. If you have a subtraction and a negative, then you automatically use it. If you have something that's like this, and the first number is big or smaller than the second, then you can also use KCC. Because I had a lot of questions on that last year. When do I know how to use this? When do I use it? How do I know? These guidelines are how to know when to use it. Okay? Any questions for me so far? All right. So let's practice some of these. Put them on your notebook, and let's practice some of them, okay? We'll do it together. Negative 32 minus 28. We'll do that one first. Negative 32 minus 28. These are the type of problems that everybody actually gets confused on, believe it or not, okay? So you're going to keep this. You're going to change this. But then so many people forget to change my next, and they say, oh, I don't need to change it. There's nothing there. What is that? Is that a positive? It's a positive, so I have to change it to a negative. Do not forget that. If you change the middle sign, you have got to change whatever sign your second number is, regardless if it's positive or negative. You have to change it. So now it looks like this. Negative 32 plus negative 28, and it's a simple addition problem. Okay? And what is it? 60, negative 60. Same thing here. Same thing, you're going to keep it, you're going to change, and even though that 4 is a positive, you've got to change it to a negative. You have to have two changes in your problem. So it's negative 81 plus negative 4, negative 85. I think they're more simple when it actually has the second one a negative. I think it's more simple because it's right there, and you know what you got to do. So we're going to keep, change, and then it looks like this. Okay. 10. Let's circle all my answers. And then this one right here, this is a simple one. Keep, change, 149. Okay, simple? Yeah. If you are following the rules, looking at your notebook, and don't forget these rules, then I'm changing. So it's 149 plus 9. Well, because I knew you said 141, and I was like, well, he's not right, but I know I'm right, so. Another thing I want to throw in before I do a story problem. You might see stuff that looks like this. Okay, yesterday, because just 3 numbers that are being subtracted, yesterday you did all numbers that were addition, right? Like you added 3 numbers. Just listen, just listen. Okay, when you have something like this, there's only one strategy you can use, and that's going from left to right, because subtraction has to be done in a certain order. Addition could have been done in any order. Subtraction has to be done in a certain way. So when you have something that looks like this, you have to do the first 2 first. So make that its own problem. Don't even worry about the last one. So then you do your keep, your change, and this is negative 17. Okay? Then you bring down everything else you didn't use. Minus, and then negative 15. Then you do keep, change again. Okay? So there is the only strategy you can use for subtraction is going from left to right. That's the only thing you can use. And then you do your keep, change again, and then you get negative 2. And if there was, let's say there's another number on here, you bring down another number. Yeah. Why not? I was going to say, gosh, I thought I was right. Okay, I'm going to give you one, and I want you to try one by yourself that has more than 2 digits, okay? So let's do 15 minus negative 6 minus 7 minus negative 2. We're going to put 4 in this time, okay? So from left to right, you do your first 2, then bring your next one down, and then your next one. See what we can get. I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to have to do it. You wouldn't technically have to do it there, because 21 minus 7, you know what that is. But if you did keep doing it, you're going to get the same answer. Question or what do you got? You got the answer. Hope I got the right answer, or the same answer you guys got. Actually, the hardest one for me to do is 21 minus 7. Like, what is 21 minus 7? Why is that the hardest? Really? That was the hardest for me. Alright, so first thing you did, you should have done this. This first. At 21. Then you're going to bring 21 minus 7 down, I think it's 14, right? Is it 14? 14. Now I'm going to bring this last part down. Should have got 16. What? Why did I do what twice? I still have to keep change because this was a negative 2. It was subtracting a negative 2. I just keep doing it. I just got to keep changing. In every problem, I have to keep changing. If it's a negative and then subtraction, I got to do it no matter what. Do you need another one of these? Do you need another one? No? Are you sure? Okay, then I need to go to a story problem. Okay, now listen. These story problems are a little tricky. What is the answer to a subtraction problem called? Let's see. No, that's an addition. Difference. Okay, when you see the word difference, you're always subtracting. So, the highest elevation in the U.S. is 2,893 feet above sea level. I made this up. This is not true, but I just threw these numbers in there. Okay. The lowest elevation is negative 452 feet below sea level. What's the range? Now, when they're asking what's the range, they're really asking what's the difference. So, like if I draw a picture, this is what they mean. Pretend this is sea level. Okay. The highest is 2,893 feet. The lowest is 452. They want to find how many feet are in this whole thing, is what they want to find when they ask you what the range is. So you would take 2,893 minus negative 452, which in turn is just adding them together to figure out what your range is. Okay? Yeah. Well, I would prefer you to write it out like this because you get in the habit, because pretty soon like your test has this and you're like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I would hope that you would write it out like this first. That's my hope, okay? That you do that for me. There's only a few story problems. Only a few. Let me look through my book to make sure I have everything.